as the chair of the Art Selection Committee, Alan Conceição, residing and presently located in East Lansing, Michigan, Ingham County.
I'll just jump in. This is Teresa Dunn. I'm zooming in from East Lansing, Michigan.
Ada Hughes, zooming from East Lansing, Michigan.
And Julian?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Julian Van Dyke from Lansing, Michigan.
Great.
All right. So we are here to discuss the 40, actually it ended up being 48.
Wait, Alan.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Liam, can you share the agenda real quick? Because we need to
thank you.
approve the agenda in the minutes.
Oh, yes. Yeah, the previous meeting minutes.
Sorry.
Thank you. That's okay. All right, so let's go ahead. So we have the agenda for today. I will note that I personally don't have any reports for this agenda. Anything that anyone wants to add to the agenda for today's meeting?
No, but I move to approve the agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
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 Aye. All right, so it's a unanimous, I think 4-0. So we are good with that. And then we have the minutes from our last meeting, which was on November 23rd of 2020. I did not have any edits for that. Did any of the other people who had participated have anything that they wanted to have changed to it? I think it may just be Teresa.
No, and I move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Ada, second.
All right. All in favor of approving the minutes from the previous minute or from the previous meeting, say aye. See Teresa raise her hand. Julian, Teta?
Aye. Sorry.
That's okay. No problem. Don't worry.
I can't.
It happens. I understand. I as well. So that is also a unanimous 4-0 vote. Report from the chairperson. We're going to vote on a lot of stuff today. Really not a lot of stuff, but we went through a lot of stuff. I will point out as the only member of the committee that previously went through a large request for applications type situation such as this in the past. We expected to spend a lot more time when we were doing the sculpture that wound up being placed over by the farmer's market. And then we all determined that we actually liked the same person within the first 5 minutes. It took a lot less time. That being said, you know, I don't necessarily want to put myself here as the authority on art, and I'd like to open it up to everybody to give me their thoughts. I have a pretty strong set of sort of top contenders that I feel, I don't want to say that I'm unmovable or unshakable from, but I feel pretty good about them. That'll be interesting to see how many of those people correlate with everybody else. But I generally want everybody else's opinions first, and then we'll kind of go from there. And that I don't have any reports. Otherwise, we only meet as needed. So there's not usually a lot for me to discuss here. Let's see, council liaison.
Jesse is not able to make it today.
Okay.
But when we do get down to talking about the mural, she had something she wanted me to share with you all.
Okay. Sure thing. And then commissioners and let's go with the commissioners first, I guess. Anything from that end? Okay. Anything from staff?
I just have a couple quick things. I've been talking with Professor Duke and the Downtown Development Authority, and they will be ready with a design for your approval in June. So I will be sending out a doodle poll to you for a June meeting. One of the first 2 weeks of June is when they're available. So just be on the lookout for that. And then you likely have already seen, but I'll make the official announcement that the East Lansing Art Festival was moved from May to August 7th and 8th this year. We feel that it's more likely to be able to be held in person downtown East Lansing at that time than it would have been in May. In May, it would have been completely virtual. So we're hopeful that we can do a safe event in August outside. And that's all I have today.
All right. So in terms of what we're doing today, so we were sent 40, it's actually 48 submissions, I believe, is what we actually had. The reason why I put in a sort of blank space into that is I believe there was a submission for, let me see if I have who that person was here. There was one submission that I saw that was in the listing, but I didn't see the name of the artist listed. But we had a substantial number of submissions that were sent in, long story short. I assume everybody hopefully got a chance to at least do a quick review of them. And what we're basically looking to do is try and knock them down to somewhere between the top 2 and 4. I assume that we're not limited specifically to 4 as a maximum. Is that correct?
The Arts Commission has set aside $2,000 for the artists that move on to the next round because they do receive $500 each for designing the mural for you.
Okay.
Which puts it at 4.
Gotcha.
I'm sure, well, if you decide that there are 5, then make that decision and then I'll pass it on to the Arts Commission.
Okay.
They have the budget, so it's not like we're gonna go way over what they have, but they will need to be informed is all.
Okay.
In the original RFP, I think it did say 3 to 5 people would be invited. And then in a follow-up, it said 2 to 4. And maybe we can get it down to 4. But it did. That's what I was kind of had in my head was the 5 is the max.
Yeah, I was going with the same, actually.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fine. And I'll pass it on to them and it'll be okay. And also before you move too far, I did want to point out that the Arts Commission decided to make the design more specific than just general. I wrote it in the memo to you all as well, but the MLK Commission is working with the city to formally recognize Dr. Green as being the first homeowner in East Lansing. And then his children were the first to integrate into Pinecrest Elementary School. So they're working to change the name of Pinecrest to recognize that. And the Arts Commission wanted to do something to formally recognize that and all of the other social justice and civil rights movements and people that have been a part of the East Lansing community. So they want to make this mural more specific to formally recognize all of those, not just Dr. Green, but all of the really amazing things that the city has been a part of over the years. So Elaine Hardy is developing kind of a primer to share with the artists so that they have some basic knowledge about what that looks like. But then moving forward, we'll be able to talk with the artists a little bit more and help them connect with people if they want to do interviews or something like that. But Teresa?
Have the artists been notified of this difference at this point or not yet?
They haven't been notified yet. This is the first kind of public opportunity I've had to get it out there. So after you make your decisions, I'll be calling the artists that you select over the next 2 days and communicating with them and giving them more information and just connecting with them. So I'll definitely be sharing the information with them at that point. Anyway, I just wanted to throw those things out there. And then Liam has control of the agenda. So if there's different artists that you want to specifically look at, he can move us right to that so we don't have to go through all 438 pages of today's agenda. but it will take a second to load everything when he does that. So we just need to be mindful of that. Teresa?
I wonder if it might be helpful if each of us say what our short list is. You know, our top, I don't know what you think, top, I have kind of a top 9 or so people and see if
I
there's
do as well.
crossover.
Yeah.
I'll let Alan take it from here. I just wanted to share those ahead of time.
I am 100% on board with that idea. I have basically what I would list as my 5 primary, a secondary, and my 2 tertiary choices who I really like but didn't quite score as high as the ones above them. I'm going to go last because I feel like that's the right thing to do. I'd rather let everybody else kind of have their moment. Who wants to raise their hand and go first with their short list?
This is Ted. I'll be happy to go first.
Okay.
I think that the process is actually a very considerate way to go because we don't want to discourage anybody,
No.
but we do want to encourage, you know, what is at the top for us. I do think all of these were great, and I thank whoever listens to this that participated for their extremely hard work and their contributions. So let's see. I'm not in any particular order. Jenny, I think it's pronounced Jenny. I may botch some of these names, and I apologize. I don't mean to be disrespectful. Jenny Gao. How do I pronounce this? Oh man, I didn't write it clearly. I think it's Edwin Anderson, Jill Zielinski, Giuseppe, really gonna mess that up, Percivado, I think, Sujin Lim, Tony Hendrick, Backpack Durden, Chelsea Boodoo, and then, wow, in BC, Choye.
I believe it's Ndubisi Okoye.
Thank you.
No problem.
Beautiful name. I just don't know how to pronounce it.
I'm sorry, who was the person before Sujin Lim?
Did I say Giuseppe Percivado or Tony Hendrick?
Hold on here. That Giuseppe. Okay, that's good enough. That helps me out. That's good. Thank you.
Okay. And I have their scores, but I don't know that that's necessary yet. We can just have everybody's list maybe, and then just discuss it as a group.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that works for me.
All right.
Can go next.
Okay.
I gave a quick look through of everybody. I ruled out the artists who are not Michigan based because the RFP said that it was required that they're Michigan based, which unfortunately ruled out some good options. But I think of those Michigan artists, there were still a lot of really top-notch artists. And so I narrowed it down. Whoops, where did my list go? And the other thing I was thinking, even though there are a couple people in my top 9 that already have murals downtown or a stamp on downtown, and I, in my mind, it would be nice to share the magic of having your artwork downtown. So there's some people I could move off the list because their work is already represented. But anyway, Backpack Durden, I apologize for those people, I may mispronounce their name. Ben Duke, Brian Whitfield, Dustin Hunt, Hector Acuna, and there was a pair, but I only have Montoya. I don't have the other name in my file. I also had Ndubisi Okoye and Tony Hendrick, who's also represented downtown, as well as Ben Duke. So those are my top.
I'm sorry, so it's Backpack Durden, Ben Duke, Dustin Hunt, who else was there after between them and Okoye and
Ann Lewis and Brian Whitfield. Sorry, I'll slow down. I think you're taking notes here.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure I match them up with who I have. And a lot of these people, I'll say I kind of separate these out as I described. So it's Backpack Durden, Ben Duke, Dustin Hunt, Okoye, Hendrick, and Lewis, Brian Whitfield. And was that it?
Hector Acuna. And let me open my file so I can get both names. There was a duo, Montoya and Polakowski.
Okay. Yep.
And let me make sure I didn't miss anybody. You got Okoye and Hendrick from my list?
Yep, I got both of them.
That's it. That's my top.
Okay. And then Julian, let me get your short list if you've got one there.
Yeah, I think basically the nucleus that we kind of have is the same people. I've got Brian Whitfield, Helen Martin, Janae Gow, I think that, Tony Hendrick, Hector Acuna, Dustin Hunt, and the last one that was added, like that backpack, like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, all right. So that's my short list.
So I'll kind of go through mine here as well, just to kind of quickly go through that. So for me, my number one, kind of with a bullet, was Okoye. I thought his to me, everything about his reply was fantastic, and I think his work's awesome too. I like Jenny Gao. Tim Robert actually scored very highly for me as well. Dustin Hunt, Edwin Anderson, those are kind of like my top five. Tony Hendrick is actually tied with Edwin Anderson in terms of score. The only reason why I have him left slightly outside of that top five group is because he has already been somebody that's represented downtown in East Lansing with a piece. So I actually took that slightly into account, thinking, I don't necessarily, nothing against him as an artist, because I think he does a very good job. And clearly we've used him before, but there's something to be said about, having a little bit more in terms of variety. And so that was one thing that I went towards. The one that we had been talking about, I think it was Pepe Gaka, and that was the one with that was actually a collaborative effort, I think, as well. Let me pull it up here. Let me make sure I'm not crazy. Yeah, that was Giuseppe Persavati, Pepe Gaka. That also placed just below, kind of in the question mark zone, and actually included Samsky de Bourbon as well, who's a Lansing artist. I thought his stuff was good. I was a little questionable about the fit for downtown. He was kind of like my dark horse choice. But I think for the most part we picked a lot of the same people. I think that's fair. And Backpack Dirt, we finally got the entire application, I think, earlier today for him. If we can post that again. I looked through it. It is very good. I think it would also fit. I have no real issue with that, being with the people that we pick as well. But again, if we're looking at five people, like, we have to make some tough choices here as to who we're going to keep and who we're not going to keep.
Are there anybody that's in all four of our lists? I think Okoye is in all four.
Mm-hmm.
So we could just say he's already, one of those people.
Yeah, I agree. If he wasn't, I was going to vouch very hard for him, because I think that he is. I think that, to me, it checked every box. It was a 5 across the board.
He was my only perfect score.
Yeah, sometimes it's just that's how it worked. The same thing with the statue. Like, everybody was talking back and forth, and then when it got down to what's there now, the fact that he was a 22-year-old artist, didn't even matter. We all agreed it was the best item. So I agree. Yeah, he's got to be in there. Jenny Gao is not a Michigan artist. I believe she's from Wisconsin.
Right.
So I'm going to put an asterisk next to her and push her off to the side. Is Dustin Hunt from California? I'm recalling.
I thought he was from Michigan, but I could be wrong. So I tried to. Says East Lansing, Michigan.
Yeah. Okay. So let's keep him in there for that basis. I want to make sure we have Michigan artists.
Somebody else on the Sujin Lim was New York, maybe.
Yeah, Sujin Lim is somebody who scored very highly for me. in terms of like the overall credentials, and I think, you know, the quality of the art's very good, but I don't know about the fit, especially since we have, you know, parameters for this that are not necessarily geometric design.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, I think they're very good artists, but I don't think that they didn't score as highly for me. They didn't reach that sort of top level for that reason. Let's see here. Edwin Anderson, I also, you know, that seems to be, he was on a few of the lists, I want to say. Any thoughts about Edwin Anderson?
I don't remember that person. Maybe that we could bring him up. I don't remember the work.
Yeah, if we can have that screen shared, that would be excellent.
It appears to me that Edwin has had assignments before. His work looks like it's so varied that it looks like he was following direction at some point, as opposed to just expressing whatever he wanted to express. You know how some of these are very clearly the person's personal voice, and then others are more political or community driven or whatever. Edwin seems to be ready to go as far as whatever new parameters are set, he would be able to follow them. That's my take. And obviously, you know, he's used to graphic, colorful work. So it's, I mean, I just feel like that's a good fit. But again, like I said, there was only one perfect score for me.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And we've addressed that, and we're happy with it. So, any thoughts from the other members?
I guess the I only actually ranked my top. I kind of did the rough cut, and I had concerns about the scale of the work. There's a couple of larger scales, but thinking both about, I mean, it's 27 by 53 or whatever is a math space. So those are some concerns I had about not just Edwin, but some of the artists, and that the scale and scope of their previous work didn't give me as much confidence that they'd be able to do it. And that I like the pieces, but that's just a question I had. So I'm perfectly happy to consider Edwin, but that was one of my concerns.
That's fair. Any other thoughts? Julian, I'll leave it up to.
No, I mean, I'm laughing at myself because, you know, when we get into the business of this, there's one time like you disdain the people who looked at your work. How come you pick mine? How come mine? And it gets to the point where you're looking at an abundance of great work. And so following what was given to us, the proposal, the requirements, and then where they lived and their previous work came into play. But I think just listening to the group, I think we're kind of on target. You know, there might be an individual artist that's here, and we all have our favorites, but I feel confident. I feel, you know, okay that the ones that we have chosen today kind of represents our thought of how we looked at their art. So,
okay. I'm just gonna, I'll push him, I want to say push him off to the side, but we'll just kind of hold him in escrow for a moment. Backpack Durden made everybody's lists, and in fairness, I didn't have him fully scored because I didn't have the full proposal until this morning. I feel comfortable moving ahead with Durden. It's another, you know, Michigan artist, and clearly has done good sized public work. There we go. Just enter his items here. Any thoughts, takes, opinions about Durden versus anybody else. I kind of want to move him at least like
Can I ask a
into
question?
the closer to the definite zone.
I'd like to ask a question. So that what we're asking in this next stage is for each of these our 4 to 5 people to make a proposal for what the actual mural is going to look like with specific information, I mean, images and the story and the timeline, right?
Mhm. Correct. Yeah.
So, yeah, I really liked their work. I think they go by ungendered pronouns. I liked their work a lot. And was just really interested to see what narrative they would do. And they had some big scale stuff with large figures that I think would be really engaging and visible from the height and distance for ideal viewing. My question, and I think if we're also providing each artist with some feedback of things, I don't know, and maybe because it was, I gave it less time. I was in the car, we were on the way back from up north. I don't recall seeing a timeline or something like that. So those are questions that I would have that I would ask the artist to provide a little more information about in the next stage of the proposal. But I really like the images that they showed.
Yeah, I'm just kind of, I'm looking back again, through the list of people here. And if you look at, kind of everyone that's a consistent hit for us, there's Koye, Dustin Hunt, Tony Hendrick, Backpack Durden. Those are the most consistently appearing people. The only reason I'm in any way questioning moving forward Hendrick, even though he's very good, is the whole question we've had before about, he has produced something already in the area. Do we want to, are we concerned about having the same person do more work? Do we want more variety? Things of that nature. Any opinions from anybody on that?
I know I just spoke, but I want to throw out, I'd like to see
good.
at least one woman on the short list.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that.
And,
for sure.
Yeah. So.
Let's see here. Anne Lewis was my next highest scoring after Jenny Gao. And let's see who else here. I know a couple people had picked Anne. Let's see who else. And Helena Martin also scored very highly as well for me.
Could we see both of their work?
Yeah.
Is Miss Martin, is she a Michigan resident? Because I had her at least in
Texas.
Texas. Ooh.
Yeah, awesome. Okay.
I liked her work a lot, but I saw
What
the
did I? Yeah.
There were artists who said that in their narrative that they grew up in East Lansing, but they live elsewhere.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's Michigan based. I mean, they're not based in Michigan.
Okay. Yeah.
What about Anne Lewis?
Well,
she's from Detroit.
What I was really surprised at, because I think I remember before I looked at anybody's, Heather, her announcement about the more specific narrative. And at first, when I saw her work, I thought, oh, it's geometric abstractions. I don't know if it will be a fit. But one of the things that I found unexpected was what she was hiding is text in those maze-like images. And then she had a image of like figuration, like a giant head and that abstraction. And I think it was really surprising to me. I was really surprised by the work. It had a message in it. And she also has work that is figurative, even though largely abstract, but that it's text-based also was interesting. So I'd be really interested in seeing a proposal specific to this project that may be very different than the very figurative narrative ones. And so that's why I was really drawn to her work. And I thought too, like at that height and distance could be really engaging and readable on that distance.
She definitely also, in contrast to Tony Hendrick, she seems to be more connected to this specific subject matter in her art regularly. And so I think that that's pretty valuable. You know, they're artists. And so it's like, for some people that's a job, and that's, you just execute and you follow what they tell you to do. Great. But in this situation, I think that people will respond very positively to someone who has regularly created inclusive works and powerful message-driven art.
I would say that the only issue that I had with Anne's work, and you know, keep in mind that my top 5 or so went from 50 to 48, and Anne scored at a 46.5. My only question was about fit, but again, since we don't have a final, you know, proposal from her, we don't know what the final piece would look like. As far as credibility, she scored a 5, and I think her work is really interesting as well.
Yep.
I mean, at the point once I separated out kind of my top half from my lower half, the quality level in the top half was high. It's consistently very high. There's nobody that doesn't have a track record of having produced public art in the top 20 something that I have. But hers is her resume is quite impressive, and it's very good. I'm, you know, given that Jenny Gao is kind of out of the running due to being a non-Michigan resident, I think Helena Martin's also non-Michigan. She then is the next highest scoring female. Joy Baldwin, I believe Whitney Harrington, I was interested in hers, but I think she's from Tennessee. Joy Baldwin had scored highly for me, but I don't think, or at least decently for me. She didn't make anybody else's list though. And I'm not sure if she's from Michigan or not.
I just looked, she is. I don't remember her proposal. If you want, we can look at it.
Yeah, we'll throw it up there.
Tetta said about Anne Lewis, everything she said, I think that is why she's a good fit for this project.
Yeah.
We just want to see the pictures, Liam.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting, but if we're knocking this down to 4 or 5, I'd rather have Anne Lewis.
I think there's some quality and experience concerns and scale for me with it, which is why she didn't make my top list.
Yeah. I mean, and technically she was outside of mine too, but you know, we're making sure that we review everything here. I mean, I think had we not been looking at the Michigan requirement, Jenny Gao would already be on the list for pretty much everybody.
It was painful to take some people out because of that. But
do we really have to say no to Jenny Gao? Is that necessary?
I think we have to honor our requirements and honor Michigan artists.
Julian covered he's seeing no evil, speaking no evil.
Chelsea.
I mean, we had so many people from outside Michigan who put in proposals, you know?
And if you use an artistic interpretation, where am I, right? I'm from Mars. So, okay. But we do have to, because of notice, I think that we would be sending a terrible message, even though we love Jenny Gao. We should send her a letter. Thank you. We love you. We wish it was you, but you're not welcome.
Yeah. Next time, maybe.
Now, Tedda, did you say Chelsea or Or there's 2 different Chelseas, and one is from Denver and the other is East Lansing.
I said Chelsea Boudou and then Jill Zielinski were my other 2 women.
Should we look at them?
Unfortunately, I was not looking at location and I apologize if either of these is not local. I'm very
They're
sorry.
both local.
Chelsea, I'm actually going to have to remove myself from the discussion for the most part. I worked with her pretty heavily when I was involved with science debate, and we made funding decisions related and provided her and MSU SciComm money. So I feel as though that there's some conflict of interest in terms of me discussing her or her proposal. I don't feel like it's an entirely fair item for her for me to do that. The other person that was listed was Jill Zielinski, correct?
I've had Jill in an intermediate painting class years ago. I'm trying to remember what she submitted with. She didn't make my cut either.
She actually didn't make mine either.
It may have been because of the scale of her work and that concerns about that previous experience, because that's a massive space.
Most of her work is abstract, and it's fine work. I don't have anything against it, but yeah, kind of similarly, when I look at large outdoor pieces, particularly ones that are going to be more symbolic and be less abstract, she didn't make the cut for me to the top tier. Trying to think who else, looking through this here to see who else might have. Kelly Bamback. Let me see here.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. I'm really comfortable with Ann Lewis.
Yeah, I like her.
I think she's really good. I mean, to me, right now, looking at the top four that I have listed here, we have Okoye, we have Lewis, we have Durden. I have Dustin Hunt listed in there as well, because I think all of us listed Dustin Hunt. I guess the question becomes, do we want to have a fifth person listed? And if so, do we have it as being Tony Hendrick or Edwin Anderson or other?
I did have right under my qualifiers, Brian Whitfield and Ben Swallow Duke. So I think a lot of people named them, and I just didn't score them as highly as other people. So if you guys want to discuss them too, I am just one voice.
I'd love to see their images and hear what, because they were both on my list, to hear what other people have to say.
Whitfield was very close for me.
Yeah, I had Brian on my list also.
I mean, I love Ben's work. I work with him, and I think he could do the job. He's already leading some projects or part of projects that are downtown, and as Heather mentioned, an upcoming one. So that would be my question about, do we give him one of those spots as he's already represented, or do we look at Brian Whitfield?
I guess I would vote for lesser known. I'd rather it be a new opportunity, but I don't know that we said that to people, so it just really depends on what you guys think, like what the group consensus would be. I also think somebody mentioned variety. I think that a few years ago, the idea of murals versus statues was difficult for East Lansing to swallow. So I would like, hopefully, whatever choice we end up with, to welcome people into that art form, and I think that Whitfield really could do that. So
as kind of if we are assuming that Hunt, Okoye, Lewis, and Durden are all in the top four, then sort of the next group from which we would be picking one individual, we've got Whitfield, Duke, Hendrick, maybe Edwin Anderson, or Hector. There's also the Hector. Is Hector Acuna? Is that one from
He just finished his MFA here, and also I know him. It doesn't have as much. He has a lower score, even though he's in my top, because he doesn't have as much individual experience. So he did a big thing for Art Path as an individual, which he didn't show a full picture of, which I was kind of confused as to why he didn't do that. But I know he's a dedicated, hardworking person and would provide a really, fantastic proposal. So I have confidence in him, but I don't think his actual proposal is as strong as I know that he is. So
Okay.
reservations about that. Plus, I know him, so I would leave it to you all to put me in check.
Fair enough. I'm just looking quickly again, kind of at sort of the upper echelon names before we split between the last group here and pick one of them. Samsky de Bourbon, any thoughts about his stuff? It may not fit because it's more in kind of a graffiti-ish mold, which appeals to me, but that's also me, and it's not East Lansing as a whole.
I
But
don't remember his proposal.
His name was actually misspelled versus what it actually is. It was like Sam space ski.
Oh, I see it, but I don't remember.
Yeah. If we can pull his up really quickly, that would be good. We'll go through a couple of them here and then just kind of clicking off the ones that I know are not going to meet the criteria, the Michigan criteria at least.
Is this him?
Yeah. And those are supplemental, those are smaller works, which are not going to be perhaps as helpful. And then another one here. Let me look, I'm just trying to look through to see who meets sort of the fundamental criteria. That person doesn't. Never mind. They're in Colorado. Polakowski and Montoya.
I think I was the only person that had them. I thought they had their style was really just kind of popped. Seemed very fresh and contemporary. Good read from below, and the possibility for expanding on a narrative that had these very specific issues that the city wants to be demonstrated. But again, I'm not going to push him if nobody else likes him. But
I love the style. I think there are a lot that were kind of mid-tier, like they were just a hair below, your top view.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a stellar muralist. And so, like, some of the people, they paint on canvas, and so this person obviously has the experience. But I would definitely, if you guys are interested, definitely shortlist any of the ones you're saying. I mean, now is it both of them?
It's a group. Yeah.
All the time. God, imagine being able to collaborate with somebody like that. Oh my God.
Yeah. I thought the same thing. I thought that there was for being a collaboration, it just was this beautiful marriage of things. Like it didn't seem like two different people kind of working on the same thing. It was
flawless. It happens. It's a beautiful thing. Okay. So if there's
Julian, give me some thoughts here, my man, please.
It's tough. You start excluding yourself, and it comes to the point where I know the artist, so I'm going to exclude myself from the conversation. I know Brian and I know Tony, and both of them, they've saturated to a point where everyone has seen their work, and so the discussion has come to the point where are we going to include the ones that we are familiar with? And I don't have a problem with that either. I like the ones that we've all agreed for, the nucleus of the number of artists that we've mentioned. They're all great. And I don't have a problem with adding, a couple more that we haven't mentioned that's under the line that we've picked. So
I think that's ultimately the toughest part with this is we got good submissions.
right.
We got really good submissions.
Heather, oh my gosh. I don't know how she did it. I really don't.
I'm sorry, which one?
Heather.
No, Heather,
I mean,
yeah. I mean, these are
so many-
fantastic.
What? I'm floored. She's got a magic something. That's so great. It's just, we've wanted this for so long.
I just
I wonder if it's also pandemic related. You've got artists who are out of work and
Yeah.
got lots of time.
Yeah.
It's like,
I just think this is tremendous and it's a very difficult decision, but I think that we've got so many great submissions that it's going to be amazing no matter what. And so hopefully we will do our job well and we can narrow this down. As far as saturating the market, I still believe I would prefer, for a variety of reasons, for this to be not for an emerging artist, because clearly these resumes are not, this isn't anybody's first rodeo,
Right.
but for our area to be bringing a new voice or a new aesthetic. Because again, there are a lot of people that live here that are really uncomfortable with what they call graffiti. And it isn't graffiti necessarily. And I love Samsky too, so it's just, if it's a new voice and it's an opportunity to welcome people into that art form, I think that's extremely valuable for this decision-making process. Of course, it's not written down anywhere though. So this really just, it depends on how
we get to do what we want to do. It's us.
Yeah, I would take Tony off because, like, I mean,
Yeah.
I love his palette. His work is delicious, but I've seen it a lot. And I think that our locals have seen it a lot and they love it. But I think that if we have a new opportunity, that they will understand where things are headed and better. I'll put it that way.
I agree.
I do too.
If I were the autocratic dictator of this group, which would make it not a group, it would just be everybody agreeing with my opinions. Then the choices would be Okoye, Hunt, Lewis, Durden, and Polakowski Montoya collaboration. That would be the direction I go in. I open the floor to everybody else on this.
Can you say it one more time slowly?
Sure. Okoye.
Yes.
Dustin Hunt. We haven't even looked at his stuff.
Okay.
And he scored. We might as well pull it up just because we can. Why not? Looks good. And Lewis, Backpack Durden, and Michael Polakowski, and Ivan Montoya.
Okay. Backpack. This Backpack gave me that feeling I get when I look at Pat Perry's work, where I really don't have words. They kind of escape me, and the stuff is so powerful that I almost want to be alone to look at it. I mean, that is how, like, I feel like I'm going to cry or I'm going to, like, say something crazy, like, it's, the work is profound. So I think he makes the short list because he's on everybody's list. Same with, I'm going to butcher this name again. Okoye. Is it Okoye?
I believe that's the pronunciation. I could be entirely wrong, but I feel like 95% confident that's Okoye.
So I think, okay, short list. Let's look at Hunt.
Something else that was when I was thinking about all of these submissions, there's so many of them were really beautiful. They had fantastic work that kind of unleveled the playing field, was when I think about how the viewing distance and height and how people are going to see it and what kind of things are going to be provocative from that distance with color, with scale, with the complexity of the image, its readability from that distance. And so that's why some of the artists that I've really enjoyed didn't quite make that cut, but why the ones that Alan just said, I agree with that short list, and I would be happy with that. But if other people have other ideas, I'm also like, I don't have a horse in the race here. I don't know any of the people that are on the short list personally.
I think, now that the addition of the information with Dr. Green, whom I know, you start thinking about who we've mentioned on how they would implement the new information, which we did not give them, on how they would do it. And, Backpack and Dustin, really all of them, I would think would do what was given to them without them knowing what we've added of the information. But certainly at least three of them, what Ms. Hughes just got through saying, like, I can see their work, what we've seen of their work kind of plays into my mind of how I would see painting the work that we've just given to them that they don't know about, if that makes any sense. But I feel comfortable with the short list that we have. And it just goes like that. And we've mentioned before, whether we know them or not, you start backtracking and taking away those things that that doesn't include their work. Yes, I know them. Maybe their work is saturated, and we want to give others the opportunity to, and that's a good thing too. I think, and I think it's a good thing to show and give the opportunity to work that we haven't accepted. Whether it's graffiti art or I'll just shut up. But
I think what you're saying makes complete sense.
Yeah, so
it's about inclusion, right? And if we have somebody who's here,
right,
who are we bringing into the fold? And there's two populations we're trying to bring into the fold. And Heather, I don't know how you open this up to invite the artists, but they showed up for us. So the artists are coming in, and now we need the viewer, the experiencer to come in. And I think that the newness is essential to that. If we're going to say this is an art form that, first of all, is like under COVID for sure the most accessible. If this is the most accessible art form, let's give it to them. Let's not rest on our laurels. And I love Tony Hendricks' work. I really don't want to make it seem like I don't appreciate his aesthetic. It's amazing. But they've seen that, and they don't even consider that graffiti art or mural art.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, every one of these five people on this were five, people or collaborations on the short list. I am going to be super excited to see what their proposal is. Like, it's going to be like Christmas morning when those come in.
Yeah, the cool thing is it's going to be a really hard choice.
Right.
We're going to cry from being moved and then cry again because we have to make a choice. There will be tears.
I want to remind you too, while you're talking about this, that our RFQ states that we get to keep these murals as ours for a year. So if there's another, whatever they design, if there's another location in the city that we can find and the money to install this mural, there's a potential that more than one of these murals will end up being installed.
Oh, that's
that will make
my
us
house
cry.
has walls.
So I would like to move that we will be listing the following people as individuals that we would like to have get full applications from. Ndubisi Okoye, Dustin Hunt, Ann Lewis, Backpack Durden, and Michael Polakowski in collaboration with Ivan Montoya. Anybody want to second that?
Had a second. Oh, sorry.
No, you second.
Let's
And
make
then
it together. That's up, Heather.
let's go ahead and vote to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Teta? Was that a yes?
Yes, sorry.
No problem.
It's my muting.
All right, 4-0. That is our choice. Send it back to the folks over at the was it the Art Council? What is it? do we call that?
Arts Commission.
Arts Commit. Yeah. Tell them that we have one more than they slated of the 2 to 4. I'll just have to find $500 for it. I have faith that they'll be able to. But I feel I'm thrilled. I think we got an amazing slate, and to even knock it down to these 5 was really tough.
Totally agree.
So I am very excited to see what we get for our final proposals and what it is we get to pick, because I think we're going to have something I think that could be really exemplary and memorable and fantastic up there. And I can't wait.
I agree.
Any thoughts from anybody else? Anything else that we want to touch on before we close the meeting?
I'm excited to cry with you guys. It's gonna be great.
I'm already crying.
I mean, Heather, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is a dream come true. I can't really express my gratitude very well.
Yeah, in all seriousness, I mean, usually when I got to pick from like 12 for the sculpture, like that was pretty exciting. This is fantastic. Like to go from, but that to this list is outstanding. This is good stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's just do 48 murals.
I'm sorry?
Let's just do 48 murals.
All right. I'm going to move then to adjourn the meeting.
Had a second?
All right. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Aye. Tada?
Yes, I
Oh, that's right.
mute again?
I keep looking at the microphone for the little symbol. Teresa, did you say aye?
I did say aye.
Okay, then it's unanimous. 4-0. We're
Sorry.
adjourned to 2:58 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 5th of April, 2021. Thank you very
Nice
much.
to chat with you all.
Yep. Thanks.
Always fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah.